P Pairs Groundwork 2022. So this is Rotaractor Faisal Mahmoud Nahid before you. Such a successful program so far, so informative for our Rotaract blogs, especially to the next club leaders. I guess this you guys are enjoying the program. So this is now it's time to the third and final session actually. So in this session, you will come to know regarding Elevate Rotaract, how to develop a strategic plan and goal settings. Before starting session, I would like to show my special gratitude and thank you to my very Rotaract favorite person and my Rotaract mentor, my brother, District Rotaract Representative-elect, and Mostafizur Rahman Bhaiya. And special thanks to, I cannot but give thanks, Rotaract Club of Dhaka Paragon and Club President Nusrat Jahan Rani and her team for arranging such a program. Congratulations and warm greetings to the program chairman, my colleague President Amirul Karim Musa, for arranging such kind of starter. It's a great starter as he always. So our session time is 45 minutes. Just adding one more thing. For any question in question sessions, please write your question in the chat box. Well, let's not take time anymore. Here is our session speaker is already with us. The very beautiful, gorgeous, and shining leader, Rotaractor Sneha Shekia. Let me give a short introduction of her. Rotaractor Sneha Shekia is an immediate 1st District Rotaract representative of Rotary International District 3292. Having started her Rotaract journey as the Chartered President of Inter Club of St. Xavier School, Sneha joined Rotaract in 2012 as a Chartered Vice President of Rotaract Club Cotton South. She served as a President of her Rotaract Club in Rotary year 2013 and 2014 session. Since then, she served at various portfolios in Rotaract District Committee, Rotaract District 3292, as the Zonal Rotaract representative in 2015-16, Director Professional Development in 16-17, District Leader Trainer 2018 and 2019. Before serving as the District Rotaract representative in Rotary year 2020 and 19 and 20, as a DRR, Rotaract Sneha was successful in receiving outstanding DRR award from Rotaract South Asian MDIO and Southeast Asian Rotaract Information Center. She is currently serving as the Secretary General of Southeast Asian Rotaract Information Center, which is multi-district information organization comprising of 35 districts across South Asia. Last but not the least, she is the colleague DRR of our shining DRR, Rotaractor Abu Bakr Siddiq Rupam, and both are the receiver of outstanding DRR award. And I was the president in this year. So now is the moment I would like to please join me welcoming the IPDR Sneha Shekia on her session. IPDR Sneha Shekia. Sister, are you there?
Thank you so much, Faisal. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm sure it's afternoon there as well. So thank you so much, DRR-elect Mostafizur, for inviting me today. And it's great to be here with all of you. My greetings to everyone, all the district leaders. I see past DRRs present as well, and all the incoming presidents and all the leaders present. Thank you so much for inviting me. My name is Sneha and I'm from Nepal, if it's not already known. And thank you, Faisal, for the wonderful introduction. So without further ado, I'll straight move on with my presentation. And if you have any questions while I'm speaking, please feel free to put them on the chat box and I'll try to address them towards the end. So I'll be sharing my screen if someone could confirm if it's visible.
Yes, we're seeing that.
All right. Thank you. So I'll be starting. So there are basically three topics that your DRR-elect asked me to cover today. So the first one is strategic plan, then we move on to goal setting, and then we move on to the strategic priorities of Rotary International. All three are very much related. So I'll try to explain them in as much detail as I can in the limited time that we have, and I'll try to stick to the schedule very strictly. So let's begin with the strategic plan. And again, as I said earlier, if you have any questions in between, please feel free to drop them on the chat box, and I'll try to address them towards the with the interest of time. So firstly, starting with what strategic plan is. So most of us here present today are president-elects. So, and as president-elects, I think the next 2 months, May and June, that we have of this rota year is the time all of us will spend in planning, like planning what we will do in the coming year, planning our activities, planning how we'll go ahead, and so on and so forth. So when we talk about planning, I think we already get a sense of what strategic plan is. But when we talk about a strategic plan, it's something that makes us relate to our past with what we're doing right now and what we want to do in the future. So in context of Rotary International, even Rotary International has a strategic plan, and Rotary International has been focusing this quite a lot, that all the Rotary as well as Rotaract clubs should also have a strategic plan. For Rotaract, it was not as much focused before as it had been in the past 2 years. And when I was the DRR, when I was a district trainer in my district, my focus has also been specifically on this one fact, that all our clubs should start focusing on a strategic plan. So what is a strategic plan and what is strategic planning? Let me begin with this. So when we talk about what strategic planning is, so this is not just in context of Rotary, Rotaract, or Rotary International. Strategic planning is something that every organization follows. I'm sure most of us are already engaged in our professions. Some of us might be doing business, some of us might be students, and especially if you're a student of business or management, probably this is one of your subjects in your course of study. So what is a strategic plan? So strategic plan is an organization's process of defining its direction. So we are at one point now and where we want to go in the future. So it's defining that direction and making decisions on allocating the resources to pursue a desired future. So let me take an example. Let's say I am a student, like I am currently in my 10th grade. So I don't know what the system is in Bangladesh, but in Nepal, so the education system is such that once you complete your 10th, you need to choose which faculty you want to go in. Let's say you can choose science if you want to go into engineering, medicine, you can choose management, you can choose humanities, right? So let's say as a 10th grade student, my aim is to become a doctor, and I see myself as a successful doctor in the next 15 years. That is my vision, right? So to reach that vision, my next step would be, so after finishing my 10th, ideally I would have to choose science if I want to study medicine, right? Then after completing like my 11th and 12th grade in science, then I'll have to prepare for my examinations, my entrance examination to get into a medical college, like to do my MBBS. Then after completing my MBBS, probably I'll have to like start working to gain some experience, then do my doctorate, like a specialization in some subject, then again start working, then I will finally become a successful doctor. So if that is the path, when you talk about an individual, if that is the way an individual's vision and actions match, that is exactly what strategic planning is when you turn it in terms of an organization. So in terms of Rotaract or any organization, let's say, strategic planning is basically having a vision or envisioning how you want your organization to be in the next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, and then planning, coming backward and planning your steps, your actions, your goals as to how you will reach that place. Let's say you are a company, you are a company that produces, let's say, sports equipment, and you want to be the biggest profit earning company in the next 5 years in the country. Then your plan will accordingly be as to how you will increase your production, how you will increase your customer base, and so on. That's how you plan. But again, if you want to be a company, a sports company that provides the highest quality of goods, your route of taking that direction might be different. You will probably focus on getting better technology, getting better products, getting better raw materials, and so on, right? So that is basically what a strategic plan is. It's a process of defining a direction for any organization and then making decisions, allocating resources on deciding how to reach there. So a strategic plan involves setting strategic goals. So what is the difference between a vision and a goal? We'll come to that in the next few slides. It's determining or setting your goals, determining actions, how to achieve those goals, and then mobilizing the resources to execute the action. So all of us, like let that be in our personal lives or that be in our professional lives or in Rotaract, we have limited resources, right? Everything, all the resources that we have are limited in some amount. Some might have a smaller amount, some might have a bigger amount, but no matter what, it's always limited, right? It's not unlimited. So making the best utilization of the available resources we have, we plan our path so as to achieve our desired future. That's what a strategic plan is all about. So why do we need a strategic planning? Why can't we just go with the flow? So I think this is a question very relevant in the context of Rotaract. So, like when we talk about Rotaract, the thing that comes on our mind immediately is projects, like numbers of projects, the many, as much as you can do, like we want to do as many projects as you can. We want to engage in a lot of activities. And yes, I do agree that ultimately what we do, even if we have a plan, even if you don't have a plan, is we do activities, right? We get into action. We are people of action after all. So sometimes we're doing cleaning campaigns, sometimes we're doing blood donation drives. Right now, in the context of the current pandemic, we're doing probably relief activities. I know a lot of clubs in India who are supporting this current situation, working on the pandemic scenario, right? We might be doing, going to different schools, giving stationery materials. We do a lot of activities. But why do we need a plan? Why can't we just go with the flow? So that one question is something that I get a lot whenever I talk about strategic planning. And my simple answer to this is always this particular statement. If you don't know where you're going, why are you going at all? So yes, you're doing all these activities, you're doing everything that you can, but you don't know where your destination is, then why are you going at all, right? So let's say you step out of the house, you dress up, you're like fully on wearing your formals, you step out of the house, but you don't know your destination and you're just walking, right? So what's the point of walking? Yeah, you might say, yeah, probably we're walking for exercise, we're just walking for recreation, we have free time, so we're doing that. I agree, like on a personal basis, that is very much relevant. But when we talk about an organization and when we relate to the fact that our resources are limited, right? So when we have limited resources and we don't know the destination, why are we going? Right? If you don't know where you are going, why are you going at all? Why are you wasting your efforts, your resources? It might be financial resources, the efforts that your club members are putting into, right? So this is one question that is always important that we ask. So why is a strategic plan important? Is because we are an organization. Rotaract as a club, every club is a separate entity, is a separate organization with a registered number. We have a club ID. I'm sure all of us know about that. We have a club ID, which through which we are registered in Rotary International. So all our clubs we are organizations, right? It's not one president comes in, does whatever he or she wants, and then passes it on to the other president, and then that president again does whatever he or she wants, and then it goes on, right? That's how most of the clubs have been functioning worldwide. And I feel that is one of the major reasons we have not been able to achieve a sustainable impact on any particular area or activity, right? Let's say this year, we're focusing on environmental projects. Like in Rota 2019, Rotaract Club of XYZ is focusing on environmental projects like planting trees, cleaning campaigns, awareness campaigns, etc. And then in 21-22, another president comes up and thinks that, no, I don't want to work in the environment sector. I want to work in health sector. And then that person starts working in the health sector, like does blood camps, again, medicine distribution, awareness, etc., etc. Yes, I agree that to some extent we are making a small impact, like the 1 year's effort into environment, probably that is some level of impact. Next year's effort on health, that is some level of impact. But imagine the collective amount of impact that we can make if we work in a focused area for a few years, right? Let's say 1 year we worked in environment, we were able to plant 1,000 trees. In the second year as well, we continue that, and from 1,000 we grow the number of trees to 3,000, right? So that is sustained impact. Like 1,000 trees, yes, that's a big number, but when we talk about it in the larger context of the world environment, 1,000 trees are probably, it won't be sufficient in the long run, because when we're planting 1,000 trees, there are probably 1,200 other trees that are being cut off for, through deforestation, right? So there needs to be a sustained amount of work that we're doing, a focused area for a certain years until we achieve what we're planning to achieve. So that is why a strategic plan is needed. one thing, so that we can agree, we can reach out to a focused amount, focused impact that we're planning. That's one thing. Second thing, as an organization, we have limited resources, right? So if we do not utilize the resources in a focused way to the best of our ability, we will probably be misutilizing those resources. So to make the best out of the resources that we have, it's important that we plan how we will utilize those resources to bring the best impact. And the third and the primary reason why I feel we as Rotaractors should learn a strategic plan is because this is not just relevant in the context of Rotaract, but the learning that we get. Personally, I learned a lot about planning, organizational structures, hierarchy, etc. through Rotaract. And I think when we're working on a strategic plan, this is something that we can take forward in our professional lives. And then when we, probably start our entrepreneurial ventures, or we already have an enterprise, we want to grow it further, then that's the point this learning that we get from strategic planning will come into play. So summarizing why a strategic plan is important, firstly, it gives us a direction, like it shows us the way, like where we're supposed to go. So whenever we come into confusion as to what project should we be doing next, like let's say there are 2 projects that are coming up, which should we prioritize, the strategic plan will help us focus and decide on what is important. So first is it provides a direction, which direction should we go, a clearer focus on what is important. Again, whenever you have to make decisions or whenever you have to make choices, then having a strategic plan will help us clear out our doubts. Third is it gives us a clarity in decision making and resource allocation. As I said earlier, our resources are limited. And when we have a plan and when we know what is important, we know where we want to spend our resources. If we, let's say we have like around $100 with us, and we have a strategic plan as to what is the impact areas that we are planning to work on, and we know the limit of our fund is $100, then we will ideally allocate it accordingly so that we can, make the best out of those resources. Then it gives you a control of the future activity. So the reason that we plan is to make sure that the risks that come forward in the future are somehow minimized, right? So the reason that we plan, like whatever it is, like in any aspect, like even when you're traveling, you plan your travel so that it does not get chaotic and you get to make the best out of the limited time that you have there, right? So the reason that a strategic plan helps is also because it gives you control of your future activities. You don't have to go into the future unknown. So you know what you want to achieve in the future, and that's how your activities start getting planned when you make a strategy, basically. Then it provides motivation. How it provides motivation is so when we are working in any organization, like when you have a plan that you know what you want to achieve next, you're motivated to achieve it, right? But let's say as a president, you don't know what you want to achieve by the end of the year. You will not know where you want to go, and you might somehow get demotivated. Okay, you don't have a set goal that you want to achieve, right? So that's where having a plan, strategic plan, helps you keep motivated. So not just as presidents, but as your club members also. So the club members know this is how we want to see our club at the end of the year. Let's say we want to be the best club in our district at the end of the year. That's your goal for the coming year. Then probably you, including your club members, will do your best to be the best club in the district. Or let's say you want to be the club with the highest membership in the district. Then you will have your motivation to focus on gaining as many members as you can in your club, right? Then the next thing and the last thing, and I think also one of the most primary things, is having a strategic plan gives you a sense of purpose. So why are you in Rotaract? Why are you putting so much efforts? Why are you spending your days and nights thinking about what you will do as a president in your club? Having a plan will give you that sense of purpose. Okay, this is the reason why I want to be a part of why I'm putting so much efforts in my club, why I am ready to sacrifice other aspects of my personal and social life so that I can achieve this purpose in Rotaract. So that is why a strategic plan is important. So moving on to the process. So how is a strategic plan made? How do you develop a plan? So there are basically 4 major steps when we talk about the strategic planning process. First is, where are you now? Where are we? Like, how is our club doing? What is our membership statistics? What are the kind of projects that we're doing? Are we being successful? Are we being impactful? So where are we basically, right? What is our relation with our sponsoring Rotary Club? What is our relation with our neighboring clubs? What is our relation with the district? how connected we are to international clubs. So all that consists of where we are as a club. Second, where do we want to go? So what is the next step that you want to go? So you're at a particular place, you're doing well, you have like probably 30, 40, 50 members in your club. So what is your next step? Where do you want to go? You're doing fine, you want to stay there, it's okay. But you obviously, as any organization, we want to progress, right? So right now you're doing like probably you're doing the literacy, or you're doing literacy projects in 3 schools in your locality. Now you want to increase from 3 to 10 in the coming year. So that is where you want to go. That's your vision. Or how do you see your club? You see your club as young, vibrant people, professionals, or how do you want your clubs to be, right? That's the second step. The third step is how to get there. So this is where the plan comes in. And the fourth is how are you doing? So how are you doing is basically tracking progress of how we are keeping up with our plans and goals. Okay, so we'll talk about each step in detail. So again, talking about the process phase-wise. So firstly, again, how is your club doing? How do you want your club to be like? What do you want your club to be like? How can we achieve our vision is the third step. And the fourth is how close are we to our goals? So I guess there are a few messages on the chat box. Let me just quickly check. Okay.
No worries. These messages are not for yours. It's for like audience.
Yeah, thank you.
Before that, I just want to pause you one more seconds. Is that our honorable DRCC for coming up here is already with us. I would like to welcome sir for this. You can continue with your session.
Right. Thank you, Faisal, welcoming our DRCC as well. So yes, so again, coming back to the strategic plan process. So these are the 4 phases, how we make a plan. But again, if, as you can see on the footnote, there is no hard and fast rule applied, because the process that we will talk next is one way of making a strategic plan, right? But there might be multiple other ways how you can work on this plan. So the process that we will be talking about now is, I have taken it from the RI document, which gives us a guideline as to how you should be making a strategic plan. So I will be discussing the same, but as I said earlier, you might have studied different ways of making strategic plan in your academic, or you might have been doing it in a certain way at your professional organizations, at your offices. So that might also be a process. So moving on. Right. So firstly, the first step, that is determining your status. So that is defining where we are right now. And for this, a very relevant tool is the SWOT analysis. So what is SWOT? SWOT is basically strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So as you can see in this colorful box on the screen, so S is for strength, W is for weakness, O is for opportunities, and T is for threats. So the top half of the square box that we see, that is strengths and weaknesses, these are basically internal factors in our club, whereas opportunities and threats are external factors, something that are beyond our control. While strengths and opportunities are positive, that is helpful, as you can see written on the top, weaknesses and threats are harmful, the things that are on the right. So what are some examples of strengths for a Rotaract club? So what can be some of the examples? So one probable example is a good membership strength. You have active members, vibrant members, the number of members is good. That can be a strength. You have a very good relation with your sponsoring Rotary Club. That can be a strength. You have very good coordination, communication with the district team. That can be a strength. You have multiple partner organizations in your locality, apart from Rotary and Rotaract. You're working with different other organizations for their CSR. You have a good network with similar other service clubs like Rotaract and Rotary. Those can be your strengths. Similarly, weaknesses can be the opposite of whatever we talked, right? So if you don't have a good membership number, that can be a weakness. If you have members, but they are not active, like they're not motivated to work, then that can be a weakness. Your club is not financially strong, we are not yet sure of where our funds, we will raise our funds. That can be a weakness. We don't have a good connection with the sponsoring Rotary Club. That can be a weakness. We have been doing projects, like we've been doing big projects in the past years, but we don't know the impact, or let's say we don't know how sustainable they are right now. That can be a weakness, right? When we talk about opportunities, so opportunities are external factors. So those are something that if we tap into, we can do something interesting. Let's say, for example, the government announces a project, let's say the government wants to work in the sector of the environment, like it wants to work under pollution control, and it is calling for applications from different organizations to be the implementing partner for the project. Then that can be an opportunity for our Road Track Club to apply for that grant or that fund or that opportunity that the government is providing. And that will be a wonderful opportunity for us as road tractors to partner with the government, right? Partnering with the government and working on a big project is definitely a huge opportunity. The partnership itself is an opportunity. And then the second comes the learning that we will get. Like, let's say, imagine young members from our club getting to partner with experts in the country together with the government. It could be the local government, it could be the central government, it could be, you know, the municipal government or anyone. So that becomes a huge opportunity, right? It could also be an opportunity, could also be something like hosting a district event. So let's say, I guess we have a host club today who's hosting this particular training, right? So let's say there's a district conference and there's a new club who has just been chartered like last year. Then hosting the district conference might be a huge opportunity for that club to understand what Road Track is and also to gain that experience of organizing like a mega event, like a district level event, being a new club. Another opportunity could probably be something like, let's say we have an Interact Club and we have like around 50 members from that Interact Club who are graduating now, like they're crossing the age of 18. And that Interact Club is again a part of our Rotary family. Let's say it's sponsored by the same Rotary Club. Then that becomes an opportunity for our club to get those past interactors to be members of our Rotary Club. That becomes an opportunity, right? So all the external factors that come in, like positive signs, those become opportunities. And whereas when we talk about threats, threats could be something that are external. Let's say, for example, most of the Road Track clubs that are, that exist, especially, I guess all over the world, they're not registered in government agencies, right? Let's say the government gets a rule, like declares a rule that this is just a hypothetical example, declares a rule that any organization that functions in the social arena have to be registered. If they're not registered, they can't work. That can be a threat for us, right? Let's say this can be an example for community-based clubs, university-based clubs. Like there's a Road Track club in XYZ college who's been functioning in the college for like the past 10 years. But then a new club comes in the college with similar objectives, which does similar activities. Then that might be a threat for our Road Track club because the membership will be scattered now. Like the potential members who could have otherwise joined Road Track might now be confused because there's one more new club that has come in which does similar activities. That can be a threat, right? Another threat could be something like our sponsoring Rotary Club is getting, dechartered or something, like, especially now the relation between Rotary and Road Track, through the Elevate Road Track movement, the relation has been changing, right? Now Road Track clubs can even exist and function without sponsoring Rotary clubs, right? But let's say there's a club which is sponsored by a Rotary club, but the Rotary club is getting dechartered, then automatically the Road Track club will also get affected, right? So that can be a threat for us. All these are hypothetical examples, but I'm just giving examples of what could be the potential threats. Another potential threat could be most of our members are planning to, shift to a different location or shift to a different country for their personal, professional, academic life. So that could be a threat for us because that will result in our membership declining to a certain extent, and that is not in our control. So the reason those members are going away is because of their personal reasons, right? Because they are taking up certain other professional academic paths. But if the members are leaving because they're not happy inside the club, they're not finding the activities of the club fruitful, then that becomes a weakness for us, right? So that's where we differentiate. So anything that is within our control inside the club, that becomes our internal factors, which might be strength or weakness. But anything that is beyond our control, that becomes external, and they are opportunities or threats. So moving on. So the purpose of a SWOT analysis. So what is the purpose of SWOT? So the first purpose is to get the club members to think about everything that would potentially impact the success of an organization. So what are the factors that are affecting our club? Like what are the different things that are affecting us? That can be strengths, weaknesses, what is our current status? The second is SWOT analysis helps us to set goals. So now that we identify what opportunities we have, what strengths we have, what weaknesses we have, then we know what are the things that we need to do next, right? Then another purpose is that the failure, like if we fail to consider our key strengths, weaknesses, threats, and opportunities, it will lead us to poor decision making. So to be able to make efficient, impactful decisions, it is important that we have SWOT analysis. So why SWOT for Rotaract Club? Again, similar reasons to help identify the current scenario of the club. What are we doing now? How are we doing? What is our current scenario? It helps identify the positives that the club utilize and the areas it needs to work upon. So, okay, this particular thing is our strength. Membership is our strength. Financial situation is our strength. So we can utilize these resources to do fruitful activities. But our relation with the district team is slightly weak. So we need to, focus on better communication with the district. That can be the areas that we need to work upon, right? So it helps us identify these things. And it also helps us identify the areas that require focus and also resources that can be capitalized. So as I said earlier, what are the, what kind of resources are there that we have that we can capitalize on, let's say financial resources, or even our membership, or our relations, or our network, and what are the areas that require focus? Probably our activities in the sector of international service is a little weak. Our activities in professional development is a little weak. So these can be certain examples that we can discuss. And another key factor, so the major thing that SWOT analysis helps us to identify is it helps us to identify strategic issues, like strategic areas where we need to focus upon. So when we combine strengths and opportunities, those become the opportunities to pursue, right? So let's say I talked about having one example that I talked about earlier was a government project that could come forward, and that could be an opportunity for us. So if we, let's say, have the required financial resources as well as membership resources, then probably we can go on to pursue that opportunity, because we have the required strength within our club to be able to fulfill that particular project. That becomes opportunities to pursue. Then when we combine strengths and threats, it becomes threats to eliminate. Let's say we have a threat of our let's say an example that most of our members are leaving for their professional and personal other commitments in personal and professional life. So let's say they're leaving, but we have a strength of having a membership base which is connected to different institutions, colleges, etc. So to mitigate the threat of majority of our members leaving, we could utilize our strength of having that network across different educational institutions to bring in new members, right? So, okay, we agree that this is a threat that our members are leaving, but we also have a strength of our network so that we can get in new members to join in our club. That becomes the threats to eliminate. Then things to improve, we see a weakness, but we see an opportunity. Let's say our number is, if the host could mute. Yeah, so let's say we have a weakness that our number. Okay, so let's say we have a weakness that the number of our club members are decreasing, but then we see an opportunity that there are interactors who are about to leave Interact and they would like to come to Rotaract. Then that could be a great opportunity for us to bring in new members, right? So those are things to improve. Then if there's a weakness and there's also a threat, and we see that that is an area we cannot do much about, then those are areas where we need to be careful about. So that is an area where we don't want to get involved. So that's the risk that we want to mitigate and avoid. So these are the four types of strategic issues that a SWOT analysis helps us to identify. So I'll rush a little bit because I guess we're also limited on time. So that was step one of how of identifying what our club status is currently to be able to develop a strategic plan. So after we develop the strategic plan, identify where we are, the next step is to develop a vision. A vision is how do we want to see our club in the future? Like what are the characteristics that we want to see in our club? So some of the examples could be, we want to see our club as a fun club, service-oriented, innovative, representative of the community. These could be certain examples that we want to see our club as. Or somebody could say, we want to see our club as a fun club, but it should not be very service-oriented. It should be more oriented to professional development activities. right? We want to have young professionals coming so that they can learn from Rotaract. They definitely will engage in service, but they can learn things, they can build their network so that it will help in their personal and professional lives. That could be one area, one type of club that we want to see. Another type of club could be, we just want our Rotaract club to be a place where people come in for fun, for fellowship, to make friends, and so on. So, we might want our club to be different. So how we want our club to be is defined by what our members want, right? Like, just because a president wants a club to be in a particular way, or let's say a group of people in the club want the club to be in a certain way, does not define a vision. It should be something that encompasses the thoughts of all our members, because the members are the driving force in the future, right? We will be a president for 1 year, but after 5 years, one of our members will be the president. So it's important that we, incorporate everybody's viewpoint, and we convince everyone that this is the ideal type of a club that we want, our club to be. So developing a vision. So how do we want our club to be? Just think of adjectives. Think of what are the potential things that we could be doing in the future. How do you want your club to be? And that is how you develop a vision statement. So vision statement basically defines your desired future and provides direction for what you want your club to be. So a vision statement basically a line. We will see Rotary International's vision in the next few slides. So basically the vision will include words that are characteristics of what you want your club to be. So it could be, questions such as, you could answer questions such as, what will your club look like in the next 3 to 5 years? How will we know that you've succeeded? What do you want to achieve? So you want to be known as a club which works in the literacy section. That could be your vision statement, a part of your vision statement. We want to be a fun, action-oriented club working in the sector of literacy. That could be a vision statement, right? So after you have a vision, you know where you want to go, then you make a plan. So this is the plan, this is the path, this is the place where you set your goals, you decide your activities, and you work towards achieving your vision. So you identify your strategic priorities, your goals, and the ways to reach the goals. So now coming to goal setting. So what goal setting is? So goal setting basically involves the development of an action plan designed to motivate and guide a person or group towards the ultimate result. So we have, we have the vision that is there. We have the vision where we want to achieve. So goals are basically smaller steps that we will need to follow to be able to achieve that vision. So the relationship diagram between goals and vision will come to that shortly. So basically goal setting is defining actions. Like, the vision is long-term, that's in 3 years, 5 years, but to reach there, the example that I gave in the beginning. So if I want to be a doctor in the next 15 years, probably studying science and passing science is my first goal. Then my second goal is to get admission in a medical college, right? My third goal is to pass that MBBS course with good results. My fourth goal might be to be in a position to get MD, right? Then the fifth goal might be to be a successful practitioner. So my vision is to be a successful doctor, well-known doctor, but then these small micro steps, milestones are my goals, right? So steps for goal setting, again, as what I said earlier, we need to discuss these things in a group. It does not come from one person. It's not just the president, it's the entire club coming together. Like, you could organize a workshop, invite everyone, you could do it virtually now, and then just discuss these things. How do you want to see our club? How do we reach there? Like, where are we right now? How are we doing? And all these stuff. And whenever you're setting your goals, it's always important that we keep in mind where our vision is. So normally when we set goals in Rotaract, we set goals for 1 year. So what is the goal for this upcoming Rotary year? But our vision again is like long-term. Our vision is of more than like 3 years or 5 years or 10 years, right? A vision cannot be achieved in a short span, but goals are like short-term plans that we make. Then choose from the list of brainstormed goals that you have. Like, if we are 30 members in a club, like, we could at least get 15 different areas of goals that we want to work on. But we need to choose from that list, basically prioritizing the goals. Okay, which is the goal that best matches our vision, right? Let's say we want to work in the sector of environment. That's our vision for the long run. Then let's say there are project ideas. Somebody's shooting ideas such as let's plant trees. Somebody's saying let's do awareness campaigns. Somebody is saying, let's go to schools and colleges to talk about these areas, these issues, then which is the best of the ideas that will best suit our vision? That is something that we need to decide. Then the next step of goal setting is determining the objectives and plans of action for each goal, right? So let's say we have a goal that says we will bring 20 new members in the club in this coming Rotary year. That's our goal. But what will our action plan be? So to get those 20 members, we need to do something, right? Just by saying we want 20 new members in our club, members won't obviously come to our club. So there are something that we need to do. So probably we want to do orientation, promotional campaigns at different offices, different colleges, or let's say going even like doing promotional activities on the streets, pasting posters on the mall, etc. Those becomes our objectives and action plan, right? So that is how we will get 20 new members. Like probably we could do a campaign inside our club that says each member brings one new member to a club, right? So these are the action plans. Like how we will be able to actually get those 20 new members is what defines our objectives and action plans, right? And it also says be specific and include deadlines. So our action plan should always have a deadline. So our goals is for the entire year, but whatever actions we're planning, let's say you want 20 members by the end of the year. So just by working in May and June and saying, okay, now we'll get 20 members, probably will not be able to fulfill that goal. But if we start working from July, August itself, like bringing 2 members each month or 3 members each month, probably by the end of the year, we'll be able to actually have 20 new members in our club, right? Then move into action, follow through. Like you have the plan, you have the document, you know what you're supposed to do. The next step is obviously to go and execute it. And then another important thing that we generally tend to miss out, especially in Rotaract, is evaluating our process, monitoring and evaluation. We do our activities, we do our actions, but then we fail to monitor and reflect upon what we've done and whether we're like successful or not. So this is basically a part of how we could set goals. Another thing that I want to discuss is how our goals should be, right? I'm sure this is something we've heard. It's become quite common now that we say the goals should be smart. But I'm hearing things like there are other aspects that say smarter goals, smartest goals. But these 5 characteristics are primarily very important when you set your goals, okay? First is it should be specific, which means it should be clear. Like it should not be a vague statement like vision. Vision is generally vague. Like vision is like it encompasses a larger thing. It's like a dream sort of a thing. But goals should be specific. You can't just say we want to increase our members. You need to say we want to increase our members by 20, 30, 50, right? It needs to be specific. It needs to be measurable. Again, if as far as possible, include numbers in your goals. Let's say you want to work in the sector of literacy. We could say something like we will support 5 students with their studies, 5 underprivileged students to complete their studies, complete their bachelor's degree. We will support 5 schools with helping them revive their libraries. We will support 5 schools in making their infrastructure better, like helping them with their tables, chairs, painting, etc. Right? So it should be measurable. Then another thing is attainable, right? We need to know what is the level of work that we can do in this short span of time, and we need to set such goals, right? We cannot say like, let's say currently we have 30 members in our club. We cannot say by the end of the year we'll have 3,000 members, right? That is not attainable. But if you have 30 members right now, probably you'll be able to get 60 members by the end of the year. So you should know what your capacity is and you should set attainable goals. Then another thing is it should be relevant, right? So there are certain things that we do in Rotaract. There are certain things we don't do in Rotaract, right? So your goals should be relevant. You already have like a good membership strength. You already have a good financial resource in the club. You don't need to set a goal that says we want to increase our members, right? You already have 50 very active members in your club. You don't need to say I want to increase my members just because membership is a focus area in Rotary. So it should be relevant to your club. It should be relevant to your particular club, your context. It should not be just because everybody else is setting such goals, you should not be setting it too. So it should be relevant when you do SWOT analysis, which is the area you need to improve, which is the area you need to focus upon. That is something that you really need to see. Then it should be time bound, as I said earlier. So normally in Rotaract, we set goals that are 1 year, within 1 year that we want to achieve in a year's time. So it's important that we set our goals and also set a timeline as to how we will achieve those goals. So this is a simple sheet that explains the action plan. So here is our annual goals, here is actions, the resources needed, members assigned, and the timeline. So I have written a quick example here. So let's say there's a club which wants to create value for members about heritage, right? The action, basically the club wants to make the members aware about their heritage, right? Whatever heritage they have in their locality. So let's say for that particular goal, one action that the club does is organizing heritage walk or that excursion walks in the heritage site. Let's say it could be a temple to make the club members more aware about that local culture. It could be some other heritage site. And then what are the resources needed for this particular action? So it could be the venue is needed. We need an expert who will talk about this particular place, right? You need probably microphones, you need speakers so that people can hear. You probably need volunteers, you probably need guides to take people to that area. And then we also need to be specific about who is this responsibility assigned, who's the person coordinating this project, who's the person working on a particular task. Who's the person, like arranging the microphone, or, who's the person coordinating with the speaker or the expert who's coming to the session, right? So these are the things that we need to keep in mind when we develop an action plan. First is what our goal is, what is the action that we're doing, what are the resources required, who is the person responsible for that action, and then when are we planning to complete that action? What is the timeline? So here, for example, we've written by August, it could be by September, it could be by July 15th, so on and so forth, right? So this is how an action plan should be made whenever we're working on any particular goal. So this is a quick recap of whatever we just talked. So vision, goals, objectives, and activities. So I didn't talk much about objectives because somehow when we say objectives and activities in Rotaract, because we don't make such long-term plans, we somehow tend to mix up activities and objectives. But when we talk about large organizations, objectives might be things that departments do, like for example, the finance department, marketing department, HR department, the short-term targets that they have for their own departments, those can be named as objectives, right? So vision is the desired end or the image of the future, like how you want your club to be in the next 5 years, 10 years, etc. Goals are what an organization needs to do towards or needs to do in order to achieve its vision. So if you want your club to be a certain way in the next 5 years, what are the short-term things that you need to do right now? For example, the doctor example that I gave, please remember that. Then what are the objectives, right? So objectives are basically the outcomes or results an organization would like to achieve in their work in order to achieve those goals. So in order to pass in my MBBS exams, my objective would be to pass like each of my semester exams, each of my term exams, each of the yearly exams that I have. Those could be the smaller minor objectives, right? And what are the strategies? Strategies are the tasks that we do in order to achieve our objectives. So in order to achieve our objectives, or in context of Rotaract, when we shorten this process, we could say the objectives are actions are basically whatever we do to finish our goals, right? To achieve our goals. So to be able to achieve my goal to pass exams, the action that I need to do is basically to study, right? To be able to make sure that our club has like $500 in our bank account by the end of the year, our actions or action steps would be to continuously do activities to raise funds throughout the year. So this is how the relation goes. So the vision is broader and the goals are a little smaller. Then from the goals, we derive the objectives, and from the objectives, we again define the strategies, right? But when we go in the opposite direction, so by conducting our activities, we are achieving the objectives through which we are achieving our goals. And when we achieve our goals, we are able to achieve the larger vision. So this is the basic relation about the table, which explains the relations that are there, okay? So the fourth and the last step of the strategic planning process is tracking progress. So how close are we to our goals, which is basically monitoring our progress. So whatever we've done, we assess our activities continuously. So how do we do this reviewing process? So to review, we assess our programs, our key results, which lead to our goals, right? So whatever activities we are doing, we continuously track progress of it. So are we doing it properly? Are we going in the right direction? Are we, like doing things that are relevant to achieving our goals? Second thing is we evaluate the techniques and action plans. So yes, we are doing our activities, but are we doing in the most efficient way, right? Are we making the best utilization of our resources? Are we using the best techniques? That is something we evaluate. Another thing we might need to do is, like, while we're working, we're realizing that somehow our timeline is not possible. So we've set a timeline that we will do certain activities by September, but we're realizing that we wanted to do 5 activities, but only 3 will be possible. So in that case, we might have to adjust the timeline, then shift from September to October probably, right? And if needed, we might have to take corrective measures. So let's say somewhere in between, we come to realize that the actions that we've planned are not supporting our goals at all. We are doing promotion campaigns, we are putting posters on malls, we're putting posters in movie halls, but that is not resulting in any membership growth in our club. Like nobody's even inquiring to join our club. Then we need to rethink our strategies and actions, right? We need to take corrective measures. Okay, this is not the path we should follow, so we should take new steps on we should decide how we can actually achieve our goals. So this becomes the review process, right? So this is the annual goal step that we can use to review form that we can use at the end of the year. So we can list the annual goals here. Then we can define, did we meet those goals? Did we not meet those goals? If we did not meet those goals, what is the result? So we wanted 20 new members, but we were able to add only 10. So what is the reason? Probably because our actions were not sufficient. We invested our time in the wrong area, right, etc., so on and so forth. Then we can also write the adjustments to the action plan. Because we could not reach our goals, we were not reaching our goals in a certain period of time, we made these adjustments. So instead of putting posters in movie halls and malls, we decided to actually go into colleges and talk to people personally and invite them to our club. So that could be an adjustment in the action plan that we did. So this is a part of reviewing goals. So quickly in the next 2 to 3 minutes, I'll quickly talk about Rotary International's strategic priority. So Rotary International's vision is this statement. So if you go to Rotary website or anything, you will see this as the vision statement. So together we see a world where people unite and take actions to create lasting change across the globe in our communities and in ourselves. So when we see this statement, this defines how a vision should be. So it is futuristic. It says we want to see a world like it is like a dream, how we want to see this world in the future. And if we see this statement, it's also not very specific, right? So we're saying we want to see all the people come together, unite and work to create change across the globe. It's big, it's something not very specific, but it also gives us a direction as to where we want our club to go, where we want to take Rotary International, which direction Rotary International wants to go, right? And when we read this statement, it also gives us that positive vibe. It motivates us. Okay, this is what I'm working towards. So I am working towards a world where people come together, there is unity, people come together and they are willing to take action to create positive changes, right? So it gives you that motivation, it gives you that push. So this is how a vision statement basically should be. It makes you, gives you that motivation, gives you that positive vibe, and gives you sort of that dream where you see your organization in. So whenever you are creating a vision statement for your club, do look at this as an example. Do look at different other vision statements. You can just search on Google. You will get, details of how a vision statement is made, what a vision statement might look like, and so on. So quickly talking about strategic priorities of Rotary International. So this was, I believe, the strategic plan of Rotary International was revised in the last year. And these are the current strategic priorities where RI wants clubs to focus and where RI itself is focusing, right? First is enhancing participant engagement. So this includes increasing our members and also engaging other participants in the Rotary programs, like participants like people who participate in RILA, alumni of Rotaract, alumni of Interact, and then people who participate in other Rotary programs like New Generation Service Exchange, similar other programs that Rotary has. So basically engaging these participants so that we understand what their needs are, and at the same time we're also being able to increase the amount of inputs that we're giving. So that's one strategic priority, like understanding what the needs of these participants are, what they are expecting from Rotary, even Rotary and Rotaract Club members, what they're expecting. Like as presidents, we need to make sure that our members are engaged in the club activities. We're not forcing them to be engaged, but they're like participating and engaging at will. So we need to know what they want, and we need to be able to give that back, right? So it's important to engage. That's one. Second is expanding our reach, basically increasing our membership, increasing our partnerships, increasing our collaborations, and increasing the area of work that we do. So things like our public image, membership strength, etc., comes in this strategic priority. So we want to expand the reach of Rotary. Third is increasing our impact. So Rotary exists so that we can solve problems, right? So one major impact that we've shown in the world is the eradication of polio in like almost all the countries, almost all parts of the world now. So similarly, so Rotary is again striving to increase impact in other areas, like the 7 areas of focus that we have, and then the specific projects that different clubs are undertaking. So it's also about, one of our strategic priorities is to be more focused and to be more specific in what areas we want to work in so that we can increase our impact. And the fourth is increasing our ability to adapt. I think the recent days with the pandemic, we have increased our ability to adapt, right? Otherwise we would not have been in a virtual training like this. Like I'm sure we've been connected across nations, across districts for so many years, but never did we think that we could do a virtual training and invite participants, invite speakers from different geographical areas. But now, because of the pandemic, we're being able to do that, right? And that is what Rotary is also saying. Rotary has existed for the past 114 years now. So we need to slowly adapt to the changing needs of the world. Like it might be in terms of the type of projects we do, it might be in terms of the type of branding that we do, right? So initially, it was easier to get members, I believe, in Rotaract and Rotary because similar other clubs did not exist. But now if we look at our surrounding environment, there are so many similar clubs like Rotary and Rotaract. So members are getting diverse, right? It's difficult to bring in students to our clubs because the opportunities that Rotaract provides now are being available at their colleges itself. So opportunities of exchange, opportunities to learn public speaking, opportunities to network, like they're getting other opportunities outside of Rotaract as well, right? So we need to increasingly adapt so that we can address to the changing needs of our communities. We can address the changing needs of our members so that we can move ahead towards growing our organizations similarly, right? So these are the basic 4 areas, strategic priorities of Rotary International. I could not explain that very much in detail, but I would highly encourage you to go to the Rotary International site and look into the strategic priorities. It's given in full detail. You can just like go to Google and type what are the strategic priorities of Rotary International. You will get these details, and it's pretty much interesting. And I also feel it will help us as individual clubs to define our goals and our priorities for the coming days, right? So with that, I will conclude my presentation. If there's any questions or anything, I would love to take them, but I guess we're slightly delayed on time. So I would again hand over to the moderator if there are any questions as such.
That's a nice session, I guess. It seems to me everyone will appreciate your informative presentation and your years of research and your depth of interfaces and your ability to present the subject in such an interesting way, produce one of the most memorable evening of this program. I personally appreciate your approach to anticipating users' intent. Thank you for being so sweet with both beauty and speech. Is there any question? If is there, no, the presentation was so amazing that there were no questions as well. Everyone, I guess, understand everything pretty clearly. Thank you, Sneha Shakiapu, for being so nice and beautiful speech.
Due to the interest of time, we won't be able to take questions, but if I can help anyone with anything in the future, please feel free to reach out. like especially whenever if there's any questions or concerns that you have, or any difficulty or any support that you need while you're making your own strategic plan, please feel free to reach out to me or any members of the CERIC team, and we would love to help you with that. So thank you so much once again, Faisal, and especially DRR-elect Mostafiz, for inviting me, and hope you have a great evening ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being so nice.